Oh.
Artwork.
Hello. How's everybody doing? We'll let y'all sign on. Show you in the meantime what we got going on here. Those look perfect, don't they? Almost looks like they're from Cracker Barrel, don't they? So, good evening, everyone. We are tuning in live from Tennessee. We're down here in Tennessee for a wedding. Our manager, JW, his daughter, Jordan, got married tonight just a few hours ago. And it was an amazing wedding. It was so cool. And so that's why we're down here. And so we did not want to miss a Sunday with you guys. So we're doing our best in the hotel room. You can see a couple new faces. Well, maybe not new faces. That's Mr. Tom Gaskin right there.
Hello, hello.
Many of you know Tom as our drummer for Lacey Sturm. Y'all know Atticus and Lacey.
Yeah.
This is Tom's wife, Erika.
Yeah, hey.
Hello.
Yeah. And that's Mr. Oliver.
Mr.
Oliver, say hello.
Say hello.
He's his own man.
Yes.
So we're in a hotel room right now, and yes, we did have to go and get French toast at Cracker Barrel. So this is not exactly Jordan Clark on here. Sorry, Jordan, you scared me. I'm like, why are you on here, Jordan? You should be on your honeymoon. But hello, Jordan Clark without the E. But yeah, so we couldn't make the recipe, so we did the best that we could. And actually, the funny thing is that the wedding that we just got back from was catered by Cracker Barrel. So, props to Cracker Barrel. Lots of business this week.
I thought you brought that from the wedding.
Yeah, that'd have been nice. No, I didn't.
Start your...
The song?
No, I'm telling you. We're gonna start
Oh,
eating.
okay. Hey guys, like always, welcome. Make sure you post your questions, any feedback from this week. This week in particular, if you guys started from the beginning, was about heart work, which is probably backwards on there. And so a lot of the commentaries, the Bible readings and all that were about not just working hard, but using your heart to work. And so I think this is going to be a great topic. I know Tom is excited to share some stuff that he's been reading about recently. But I think we're going to start with a song. You want to start with a song? You want to say hello? I'm sorry. I was just letting Lacey get situated, but...
Hi. My mouth's full.
Okay, not great timing. Sorry, honey.
It's okay.
Hi, Brad. Hi, Monica. Who else is on here? Let me see. Hi, Nick, Samantha, Janet, Jill, Austin, Beth, David, Lewis, Hannah. Man, y'all are awesome. We love you guys. So I think we're gonna start with the song.
All right.
That way we can get into the
All right.
set the atmosphere. And Tom's gonna play it.
So I'm gonna pray real quick, okay?
Yeah.
This week we had John 9 about when Jesus healed the blind man, and we had James 2 and was talking about just how sometimes we say things because it's customary, but our heart's not in it, and our actions actually show where our heart is, and then there were some commentaries just about how the way that you do things actually matters, and because it shows what your motives are. And we talked about I saw a post from somebody who had mentioned that one of the commentaries spoke to her because of the way that you host a party, or like if you have dinner, or you get together with your family, if you're not doing it with love in your heart and for the purpose of loving your family and your friends, then you end up getting in this busy mode of stress and anxiety and thinking the party should go a certain way. And that was so cool because we just came from a wedding, and it was the complete opposite of what you would think. I think we've all seen weddings where everybody's stressed out and it's just so formal, and there's this picture in your head of what it's supposed to be. But that's what was cool about this wedding, is that Jordan really wanted to honor everybody's differences of what they brought to the wedding. So it was sort of like an open mic night at the end where everybody got up and sang songs, and there was one point where even in the rehearsal, and I was trying to sing the song, and I started crying really hard. I'm like, I couldn't sing. And she just said, you know, if you do that at the wedding, that would be the best thing ever. So it's just cool to just see that in action, that we have this idea of how things should be, and then we get into this work mode and we miss the point of what it all is. It's meant to be like, to be relationships. It's meant to be love. It's meant to be, you know, a time to celebrate, and we end up making it about a checklist, you know, talk about that, and then we don't enjoy it, and nobody else does either. And even though it could have been this great, big, beautiful, fruitful thing, it ends up being just like what it was supposed to be, and not the mystical, magical thing that happens when we let life happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, we talked a lot about that, and we prayed for that, for our hearts to be able to be free from that. Hi, Erika. Do you want to say hi? See the baby? That's you. That's you. So so we're gonna sing this song for you guys to start. Will you hand me that bracelet right there, Tom?
Yeah.
The song's called Heart Work.
They question your motives, 'cause they don't understand love. Rewrite your love letters, or accuse them of being made up. Straight from the darkest heart, the bright light of your love. They keep raising up hard-working slaves when all you really want is a bride's heart that works. Your love confounding us, 'cause no one else loves like you do. Let your love abound in us, reflecting back the love we learned from you. They look for a paycheck, as if you needed workers, but you give them presents, 'cause a son needs his father. You show them how you love, and you call them to work like you do. You're training up your sons to be hard workers like you. Your love confounding us, 'cause no one else
little cameo.
Thanks, Oliver. That was so sweet. Oliver was just looking at me just with marveling eyes. That was so cool to sing to him. He's just smiling so big.
Hey, so I'm interested to know how many new people we have tuning in for the first time this Sunday. Because like I said, a lot of you guys, some of you guys are on week 7, but some of you might be on week 1 right now. I know we sent out a video talking about starting on January 6th, which is today, so this might be week 1 for you. But if you guys are just starting, let us know. We're interested to welcome you to the group. And and we are going to talk about week 7, heart work. But it should be relevant for everybody. That's why I love this so much, because it's not like we didn't just pick something specific. Well, we did pick the specific things, but it seems like God always does that, where they're always relevant for what's going on with the majority
Well,
of
I think
people.
it is relevant because one of the really important things about doing this study is that we make sure that our heart is in the right place while we're doing it. Because so often we can just do a study because we want to get head knowledge, and then we don't change. And that's a really important thing. The Bible even talks about that, not using the scriptures, like making sure that he's like, I want to say it with mommy. Using the scriptures to gain head knowledge, but when we walk away and our lives aren't changed, it's because it didn't hit our heart. And so to actually let the scriptures change us, and that's kind of the idea, is that we want to grow in love, and we want to grow in our relationship with God. We want to grow in our relationship with others through God's love, like coming alive in us. And so if you're just starting, this is your first week, you'll start your week that way, just hopefully encouraged to make sure your heart is in the right place when you're doing it, and not making it a checklist, actually try to go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you guys are on week 7, make sure you encourage the people coming in, some of the things you guys learned along the way, because they might have a lot of the same questions that either we talked about or something that you just got some understanding on. And so make sure you guys encourage each other. This is awesome. It's a community. Speaking of community, Tom and Erika have been in our lives for 7, 8 years?
7, 8 years.
Yeah. Here, Erika, you sit up here. You sit next to your hubby.
Oh, okay.
And gosh, they just hold such a special place in our heart. And they live in Virginia now. They were living in Pittsburgh when we met them. But we actually met them when we were doing a small group study. It's called MAP. We talked about it on here before, but it was like a small group community that we had for artists. And Tom was a drummer, and Erika was doing lighting at the time, and so they ended up coming to it, and that's how we met them. But Tom is one of the hardest workers I know, and he's also one of the heartest workers I know too. Because this guy always does a good job with a smile on his face, and so
Thanks,
I
brother.
love you and I appreciate you. But
I love you too, man.
I feel like you've learned a lot on the way. Do you want to share maybe about that book you're reading, or just something of your seasons of work? Because they've looked very different, haven't they?
They have looked very different. I've climbed the ranks in Starbucks from a barista to a store manager, and that was a trying time, just developing leadership skills and seeing how literally how you can impact someone's life just by loving on them, which I've seen from you guys as well, in your everything you guys do with work and ministry, and just pouring love into people, and not making it a checklist, not making religious rules, but setting high standards, and really seeing people thrive under leadership where they know that they're valued.
Yes, that's so important.
It felt like family more so than work. It felt like working with your family. So that was in Starbucks, but coming out of that and going into music, when you released your record and we started touring, and God took Erika and I on this grand adventure that we're still on, and it's just amazing the places you'll go when you're putting love in front of you in each step of the way, and when you're offering yourself up to really just keeping your hands open to work, make your work an offer as it's a love to the Father, really.
Well, it was interesting that whenever I first we started MAP, the Music and Art Alliance of Pittsburgh. It was our group that we met together, and we first started that. I was in a hard place in my life. I was not really wanting to have any friends. And we didn't try to start a Bible study. It was just, I was trying to like kind of pull away from everyone and just be secluded in a sense, because I had been touring for 10 years, and I had it was just a rough time pulling away from everybody for a lot of different reasons. But when I really, I talk about this in The Return, how my friend Jasmine, God just put it on her heart that I was her friend, and she just kept coming around and kept, coming over and just sitting with me and watching movies because I didn't want to talk. Yeah. And she really hated watching movies, which I found out later. But she learned to like some movies after she hung out with me.
Great.
But as she just continued to show me that she didn't have any ulterior motives, she wasn't trying. She wasn't trying to get me to get her somewhere in the music business. She wasn't trying to get me to minister to her or serve her in any way. Even though I loved giving her food and stuff and serving her. But one day she didn't come, and I was just really scared of having a friend to break my heart again, because I had my heart broken so many times, and I didn't want to make new friends. And then she didn't come one week, and I just fell on my knees and cried in the kitchen because I realized I missed her, and I realized she was a safe friend, and she was a real friend. Yeah. And that actually opened my heart up to bring people into my house and actually start talking about deep things, like about Jesus stuff and music and ministry.
All your favorite things.
Yeah. And so you ended up coming over, and you're in the band with Ben. Yeah. And so that's actually how we started writing music again with you guys as friends. Yeah. So if that hadn't opened up in me, I wouldn't have done that. And then you brought Erika over. Yeah. And you and Erika were dating at the time. Yep. And Erika was sitting there with us, and we just assumed that she was at this Bible study thing because she's a Christian. And it turns out Erika was an atheist. Yeah. She didn't believe in God.
She was.
I was just there because I thought he was cute.
And she told Tom, fine, you can believe in God, but I'm never going to go to church with you. I'm never going to believe in God.
I've heard about that.
And so then he said, well, you want to go to my friend's house? Yeah. And so she ended up coming over, and we were eating, and we were watching this this guy giving his testimony, and he ended up saying a prayer and asking people if they wanted to become Christians and receive Jesus, and then...
Which is something you never did at any other map.
Right.
That was not a normal part of that group, regularly.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to let you talk.
Oh.
Sorry, I told your story.
No, you're fine.
No, that's good.
So, everybody kind of started repeating what he was saying as he was saying, repeat after me if you want to, and so I just did, because I was like, well, that's what you do. and then when I was done with the prayer, I was like, well, I've never said that before. Never done that before. Mm-hmm. And everybody kind of was like, what?
No.
But after then I kept coming, and
we were like, did you just become a Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess. Am I?
I think in my heart I hadn't committed yet.
Yeah.
But I had a willingness to just be there, and over time I kept coming back because what I felt there I didn't understand, but I now know is the Holy Spirit. And I was like, I am feeling something, and as an atheist, that should have been impossible. And so I started, as we started dating more, and I realized that faith would have been, it was going to be a big deal that we didn't believe the same thing. Yeah. I started praying and asked.
Tell them about Starbucks that day.
Oh, yeah. So, I started kind of saying these prayers that were oh, God, if you're real, if I'm not talking to myself, I think I'm losing it. But I just, you know what I need. You know what I need to believe in you. It needs to be tangible. No one's going to talk me into this.
I'll be right back.
And,
Go ahead.
And I'd say that here and there, and I was praying. And at the time it just felt, I didn't think much of it other than like, I guess, you know, I'm trying to make this relationship work, and I'm feeling things and noticing things. And then one day I went out, I was working at Starbucks too, and I went outside on my break to smoke a cigarette, and God will meet you anywhere. And I was downtown Pittsburgh in the middle of the city, and I started saying that prayer, and I felt like a bucket of water was dumped on my head, and I burst into tears, like standing there normal, say this thing, I meant it, and then all of a sudden this feeling, and I just started sobbing, and okay, you're real, God.
I remember you telling me about that, and you were like, it was just like this big, like, revelation of truth.
Yes.
It was like this feeling of truth just coming over
Just
you.
understand it.
I just knew, and I knew without a doubt, and I was like, okay, I felt the presence of God in this completely undeniable way, which was exactly what I'd been telling him I would need.
Yeah.
And for the next 6 months or so, every time I would start to doubt or question, you know, oh, I'm being brainwashed, or oh, this might not be real, or, you know, what about this issue? What about that issue? I could ask, I could say, do it again. And he would do it on command every single time.
That's kind of how we treat our kids when they're thirsty and they're infants and they want to be fed.
The baby's hungry, feed it.
Yeah, and
God's
he
like,
did
there you go.
until I didn't need it anymore.
Oh.
And it was just like a literal like, hey God. Like I remember saying it so like casually, like standing at a bus stop, like, I don't know, you to do it again? Just do it.
I remember specifically you were outside on the smoke break.
Yes,
Yeah,
she was smoking.
Oliver, no.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Something, I'm sorry, I was out of the room for a second there. I had to discipline my children.
We know how that goes.
Something that I think I heard Tom say, sort of had a revelation of, is the idea of loving, like working but loving is, you know, I think the easiest example is with kids. It's hard work to have 3 kids, I'll tell you that. But at the same time, it's like obviously the most rewarding thing, and it's also it's easy in a way. You know, like someone said to me today, like, I don't know how you do this 365 days a year. You know, they've been with us for the last 2 days, and they're like going crazy, like, this is, oh my gosh, this is insane, this is crazy. How do you guys do this all year long? And it's like, you're not looking at a finish line or when do I clock out, you know what I mean? You're like, these are my kids, I love them, and I love to do this. I'm exhausted, but I absolutely love doing this. And so, like, I feel like part of that applies to even people without kids is kind of what Tom was saying of, like, being a manager at, you know, Starbucks and Chipotle is, like, Tom is really good at empowering other people. You know, his job is to make other people believe in themselves and to do a good job and to just to be fulfilled in that way. And so, like, okay, yeah. So by serving other people is really what fuels you to be able to work in that way. Did you mention your quote from Mike Bickle yet?
No.
What is the quote?
Lovers outwork workers.
Lovers outwork workers.
And I, you know, the reason why I thought it was important that Erika tell her story is because when we were doing math, we were just getting together to have dinner and talk. And really, you know, it was actually a prophecy from IHOP from Julie Meyer that we read in an email that came from Corey Cooper. It was like a word that was written out about how God was going to move in music and in movies and in the media, and he was going to do it without a lot of preaching. I mean, you're just going to watch a movie and then truth will come over you and you'll just feel the love of God hit you. And you'll just know that there's a God and you'll know that there's hope. And I've gotten a lot of emails like that from people who've been at our concerts. And so Josh and his brother, this is how we started getting together to eat together and talk about stuff. Like I'm hoping that you'll do it too. Is that she said it was going to come through prayer and worship. And so all we did was we got together to pray and to play music and worship God through the music and sing our prayers to God. And as we did that, people started coming, and Erika being one of them, and Tom, and it birthed the record, Life Screams. That came out of that. And then Erika ended up working with our family and becoming family to us. So it was funny. That's how that ended up happening. We are.
I don't think I would have walked into a church. I don't think I would have found the relationship with God in any other environment, because I was fully and completely opposed to even allowing myself to be in that kind of situation.
Yeah. Well,
it is amazing how God can use that
yeah.
basic moment.
I love that.
And I think to go along with what Josh was saying about parenting and work is that it's also a choice. Like, it's, a lot of times it's this choice you have to make, because though I love Oliver and I love parenting, I don't always feel like making the right decision.
Yeah.
I often feel like making the wrong decision.
Come on. It's true.
And not, play with me, Mama. What I really want to do is maybe watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
Even if
Something
I don't have a
probably you
legitimate
should watch.
excuse.
Yeah, something that might be too scary for you, or you might get bored with.
Yeah.
I want to watch a grown-up movie today.
Exactly, and put you over here. And it's a choice.
You have to
But
choose
there's
love.
fruit in it.
Yeah, that's so good, and there are seasons for that, for those things, and the season is so short for getting to choose that. That's one of the things. Okay, so we just had Dina and Dubs show up. What's up, Papa Dubs?
Papa Dubs.
Wrestling the boys over there.
You just been to a wedding, that's all.
Yes.
So, Dina's firstborn daughter was just married. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It was a wonderful, magical, holy day, and it's only 7:30, and I get to go to bed.
Listen, ever since I became a dad, I cried way more than I ever have in my whole life.
Yep.
But watching this man cry over his daughter getting married made me weep too.
I
And
got nothing left.
Lacey sang "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes" when she came down the aisle.
We did. We should play it again for you guys.
We got a dry
I
eye.
think we should.
You want to play it while they're here?
You see, that's
Oh,
why
you're making me
Atticus is
cry.
all sweet.
Any requests to hear a Cinderella song?
Yes.
All right.
I'm sure some thumbs
All right,
up.
I'm gonna get someone hold the phone here. We're gonna play it. Or you'd hold it.